I have still yet to find like a day where that goes by where you're not like, damn, my life's hella good. It's hella good.
It's too good.
And I be thinking like, that's why when last night for the old man that brought me my cash when I won at fucking Saguenay or whatever, when he came and paid me and did my hand pay or whatever, I gave him 100, and people were like, "Oh, that's too much," but I'm like, who cares? Fuck it. Every time I feel like I come across some money, especially when it's like it was just like you got lucky type shit. It just seems right to just spread it because fuck it, especially to random. Why is it so not enjoy? You get some joy.
Satisfying.
Yeah, you get some joy and some happiness from giving.
Doing good.
Yeah, just giving. It's just randomly, just to some random person, just spontaneously, just say fuck it. This dude or this girl, she's just gonna get it. She gonna get it. What?
I don't think a lot of people are like that though. Probably the minority.
I think
But you only think like that if you got it like that. There was a story like it makes me like I constantly get reminded of how like good we have it because you hear other people's stories. And there was a guy who was explaining his story on a video, and he said he was living with his mom and his stepdad. And then he said he went to school, and one day he came home from school, he knocked on the door and nobody was home. And that his mom and his stepdad left him. They just left him. He said I think he had a brother, they took his brother and they just left him. And he's like, I didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't know what to do. And he said that there was like this little, I think he said like a warehouse across the street or something like that. And he said, from that day on, he said he's been on his own and he would sleep on top of the warehouse. He said I would go and climb the warehouse and sleep on top of the warehouse. And then he said he would come down and go to the laundry, what do they call it, the laundromat or whatever, where they clean clothes. And he said I would clean there. I would clean there, and the lady would she would bring me food in the morning. And then not only she'd bring me food, if people left their clothes there, like for a certain amount of time, they didn't come pick it up, she would give him the clothes, like whatever he wanted. So, and it makes me think of like, some people just have it hard from the jump. And it made me really think, because especially me, because I'm like more looking into God and stuff. And it's like, it's a big question of like, why is life so unfair to certain people? Because you always think of, if this happened to someone, there should be a reason. Like, it doesn't make no sense if somebody's completely innocent to have a bad like cards if they're innocent. And that's why I don't understand. And the only thing that I can view it is like that we're punished for the sins of our parents. Because the sins of our parents, it's almost like sin drags us away from God. So if your parents are sinning, no, your grandparents are sinning, they drifted already from God. And then if your parents continue sinning, you drifted away from God. So now his seed is already drifted from God in a way. And it's a weird thing to understand, because it's like almost like that makes it seem like, okay, so your parents have a play in it. That kind of seems unfair, huh? But it just seems like, well, isn't that how life is? Because Adam sinned, and now we're all dealing with it. And a lot of people be like, well, that's Adam's fault, right? But a lot of people were like, if you were Adam, you would have failed too. You're telling me you wouldn't have failed?
I never thought about it like that.
So to me,
but like, it does seem fucked up for a child to be in shitty circumstances due to their parents. But it is like, you can't, everyone, like, there's enough happiness for everyone to be happy, but you wouldn't know.
Is not like
it's like a thing you can hold, right?
Yeah, it's not like it's an amount, like a liquid.
Yeah, there's infinite amount of happiness. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I think everybody has to have hard times. Like, in order for life to be life, it can't all be joyful. Like, you look at the animal kingdom. If you look at animals, they're out here killing each other's babies, and like destroying families, whole families.
Well, if you don't have bad, you can't appreciate good.
I think that's just part of life. You
Because
can't have one without the other.
Yeah. But the only thing, and that's, I understand that. And there's some things that I think, I don't know if it just takes like time or if there's certain things that you just never understand. And for sure, there's certain things that maybe we're not meant to understand. Because like we were saying, it's not, I don't know how to gauge that, of why this person has it like that. Because of his parents. And it just seems to me, because knowing how good God is, there has to be a reason for that. Now, whether I should know as a human down here, maybe things are too complex for me to understand.
Somebody, I forgot who said this, but it said something about like God won't put the weight on your shoulders that you can't carry, or something like that.
There's a lot of stuff that I feel like is misunderstood about God. And the only way you can really understand is if you take the time to research and get to know God. And the way you get to know God is by opening that book. And it's like, but when you hear these stories, because there's people who go around preaching, and they be preaching Jesus in the gospel. And then you'll hear, a lot of times there'll be people who are angry. And they're like, where were your Jesus when I got raped? And it's hard to tell people that, right? But it's like you expect me to have an answer for everything. In order for you to understand or accept that there is a God, you got to have a certain level of understanding of why things have happened to you. Or else you're just throw it out the way, right? Because I think if horrible shit happens to you, a lot of people tend to lose faith. And I think like that's just normal, right? If you have a horrible life, you would just normally, like with no knowledge of nothing, as far as like God, you would just normally think like, well, if there was a God, this wouldn't be happening to me. But everything can't be perfect. Because when I'm like, okay, because a lot of people be like, why can't everything just be perfect? And the reason why is because then we wouldn't have free will.
Then we'd be in heaven.
We wouldn't have free will then. And if we don't have free will, then we're prisoners. You know, that's why there was that tree that God told Adam, hey, eat from any tree. Take care of the garden, everything's yours. Just don't eat from this one. That was the door. You were never locked in. There was always an out. He didn't like, that's free will.
I wonder if that shit tastes good though.
That fruit? It's probably just the same as the other fruit.
You think that'd be so disappointing though?
If
you went against God for a specific food and this shit wasn't even all that.
Well, the reason that happened, Eve ate it first. And then this isn't confirmed, but there's speculation that Adam ate it because he feared what God would do to her. And because he knew that God loved him so much, he's like, if I eat it too, maybe he'll be more lenient on her. Like we both go down. But because of their decision, it introduced sin to the world. And then we seen what sin did to the world. So that's what...
So it was Eve's fault. I blame Eve.
But that's why it's like, it's hard to say like, oh, it's Adam's fault or it's his fault, because like people would say you would do the same thing. Like people are real quick to
throw the stone or whatever they say.
To hate on Judas. Oh, he turned Jesus. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times we don't realize, like when you really get knowledgeable, you realize that we're Judas. And when you think of it like that, because when you look at Judas, you always despise him. Like, look at that. Like, almost like he's a piece of shit. Like, look what he did. Like, how can you do that? But you're like, we're Judas too. Like, and I heard a crazy quote that somebody said, God already knew, Jesus knew, right? When he was at that table and he had the Last Supper and with Judas, he ate with them, right? And he already knew what he was going to do. And he said, so somebody said, learn to eat and feed the same, your Judas at your table. Like you to grow that loving. Because Jesus already knew. And he told Judas, hey, go do what you got to do. Here he knew. Right after they ate, he told them. So it's like it's crazy when you think of, when you really dive deep into it, you're like, oh, we're Judas.
Because we sin knowing
Because
that
we sin against him all the time. We go against what he says. That's why it made me think of like, don't ever judge people. Because it's like
no matter how shit they are,
don't ever judge people and show mercy. Show mercy because God says show mercy like you would want me to show mercy to you. And it's like, it's hard because how are we supposed to have godly traits? Huh? You're God, like not us, you know? But it just seems like we're made in his image and we're capable of such though. Is it hard? Heck yeah. People like when you hear these preachers or these people who take it serious, there's people who like go down in tears because they're like, it's hard. Especially people who become what do they call them? Preachers and stuff. Don't get married and devote everything. They explain it. And like I never had a level of understanding of that ever
of
in
the
my
difficulty.
life. Yeah, just like you never really even crossed my mind of what a person is trying to accomplish. Because it's like, well, as a Christian, you're aiming for perfection, but you'll never get it because we're not Jesus. And we have such a loving God that even though you're flawed, he accepts you, which makes it even worse. Because when I think about it, I'm like, it makes it even worse because it's like, say I did something against you. Yeah, you're easily like, it's no problem. But I backstabbed you. And you're like, it's not a big deal. It's harder to accept than for you to be mad at me. Because then you would feel like, I deserve this. Like, but when you have such a loving God that he's like, it's okay. Like, just get back on the right track. That's what's hard. Because that's how loving he is. And that's what makes me think of like, that's what makes me think there has to be a reason to these people's lives. But I don't have the answer. I don't know how to answer that for somebody. And people as kids don't have their parents or their parents get killed in front of them or some crazy stuff like that. That's when I realized like, damn, I'm truly blessed. And then people would look at our cards and say like, damn, because of our little brother. But I don't view it like that. But you can get deep into that too. Because why him? Like he didn't do anything.
I know. It's not. At least he got a good family though. I remember telling hella people like, oh, at least he hit the lotto when it came to us. So, I mean, it sucks. It sucks because you would want him to be like to have a normal life, but it's just what he's gonna have to deal with, and to just small, we're gonna have to. His shit's gonna. I don't know.
That's why it's hard to accept. But when you live around it, you learn to live with it. Becomes like almost not normal, but like it's just this is the norm. Like things are not gonna change. You know, when you have a constant pain every day, you forget about it sometimes. You know, when it's constant.
That would suck, huh?
You know, so it's like
to these people who have like head like tumors in their head where they have nonstop headaches, like it's just what they had to deal with every day nonstop.
Because you hear people say like, I just want to die.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. And it's
because it's just pain every day.
And it's just rough because it's like, why? Huh? And I think that's what was jerks people away from God, because we reach a level that we don't understand. Like this doesn't make any sense. We can't make sense of it. And we want to make sense of everything as humans. We want to know everything why about planets, or why this is here, why the temperature is this cold here, everything down to a science. And when you can't find the formula, you doubt comes in hella hard, right? But when you just look at the world, it just seems like there has to be a creator though. Why is everything so perfectly aligned? It just seems like and everything works, and there's like certain animals eat flesh, like meat. Certain animals eat grass. Certain animals like behave differently, and then look at us. We're like the special animal that overcame everything and are the most intelligent and could create shit like this. right? And it just seems like why? It's so
We don't
many
fit.
questions.
I don't think we fit.
Like we don't belong here.
Like we don't. It seems like we're from a different puzzle.
I seen a clip. I seen you watching that Terrence Howard interview, and I heard him talking to Joe Rogan about like how I don't know crazy shit about how like the distance of the Earth to the sun, and how other planets will like Mars was here where we are here before us, and he believes that there was life there, and it's just like who knows all this.
But if you look at Mars, it shows there's clear signs of
there was water there,
erosion
at one time.
Yeah, Mars was full of water at one point, liquid water. If you just look at it's just clear, like it's just known. And they used to say there's no water in Mars, like 0. And now they know that there's a shit ton of water there, just frozen. So there's a shit ton underneath all the sand and shit. So that's why Elon was like, let's bomb the boy. And all the carbon the carbon dioxide and that's stuck on the ground, they get it up and then to heat the planet up and do all this shit. But it's just like, I don't think we're there yet, like technology wise, to start fucking with other planets. Like we're fucking up our own planet. Like we probably should chill.
And it's kind of crazy how we don't doubt science.
Well, right? He does.
No, I'm talking about like the average people.
Yeah,
the average like me and you don't understand how the fuck, like to a science, how gravity works. But we know it's real. And we believe when a scientist gets on screen or whatever and talks about it, oh, we believe him, right? But like we don't do the
equations,
like the due diligence to look into this.
Okay, yeah.
And to really be smart about it. And it's weird because that's why I try to apply the same method to everything, right? Because a lot of people when it comes to God, it's the same thing, right? You doubt it 100%, yet you don't doubt the science, right? But why don't you do the homework? It's way different when someone does homework and comes to an answer and tells me that. Then it's respectable because you looked into it. I can't tell you nothing no more. It's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you, But someone who hasn't, it's just weird how it's almost like, is that like hypocritical in a way? Like because it's like, how do you believe everything here? You believe everything about science, everything it is, even though you don't understand it, but you 100% believe in it.
Yeah, but some science can be proven, like with the equations, or
I'm not saying it can't be proven, but I'm saying the average person
just
is
like
not doing
gravity,
that work.
right? But just nobody. That just seems like too much work.
It's like global warming.
Yeah, it's too much work. People, they're just getting whatever. They see the videos of the ice melting and they're what the fuck's going on, water rising, but it's not it doesn't grip you like that. But science, certain things you believe just because there's no really way for you don't have the mental capacity to be able to disprove them. And you don't have the time or the IQ. And like gravity is like, we know everything is understood that, like the terminology is understood by the basic person as far as what gravity is. So you just know that if you throw something, it's gonna fall. So you just grow to understand certain small things.
But you never question that, huh? As a human being being raised, you don't question why the fuck if you drop something, it drops. Like
you don't go into like why is it dropping?
you just know, you just come to realize that if you drop something, it's gonna drop. Yeah. If you let go of this, it will fall. Right? But you don't know why until somebody explains it to you. But they explain it to you in a simple way. But there's an equation to this shit that I don't understand, but I believe in it because we see in it. We see it. But there's certain things that we don't see, like you just said that there's water on Mars. Like I'm pretty sure there's ways you can prove that, but we haven't looked into that. We just believe them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes me question.
Because there's enough people that have it's been said enough by enough people that
trustworthy scientists
that
right?
It would be like okay.
But we believe we haven't faith that other scientists are challenging other scientists, and you can prove that. But I'm not talking about what we can prove. I'm talking about the average person doing the research to confirm that. They're not doing it. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
We just have a faith and a trust in these people. But then that makes me believe like, oh, well, then we can be lied to.
And we
would-
probably are. We
and-
probably been lied to.
Yeah, there's something that
Still.
we're being lied to about,
Yeah.
and we're just like okay with it until it gets disproven. I seen the PMD, or remember Pat Davidson? He was talking about there's a certain secrecy, I think like a law or something, that the U.S. can hide certain inventions from the masses. Because
For
if they
safety.
feel that, safety reasons and stuff like that, or they feel like it's a threat to something. And he mentioned like if a car can handle can go like I don't know how much per gallon, he said that would be dangerous for the U.S. because look how much money they would lose. So they have legally, they can keep something like that a secret, and not only keep it a secret, you as the inventor can't say nothing or you will be punished by the law. Go straight to jail or who knows even what else, right? But jail for sure. And that makes me think that's hella crazy. It makes me think of that car that guy invented who ran on water and then just died randomly.
And disappeared. Well, now Terrence, that dude, his name's Terrence, huh?
Yeah.
He's saying there's ways to get limitless energy from the shit he be looking at, all his patents that he had invented. And you look at, he said that all these people who make video games for VR, you ever seen that video? He had invented the patent for it, and he'd get credited by all these big companies. They credit him to from using his patent. But freaking if you have limitless energy, it's because he says energy doesn't die. And just the thought of that seems weird, huh? To be able to say that energy doesn't die, but it makes sense because everything gets transferred. Every time you touch something, energy gets transferred from you. But where the hell is it? You get your energy, your body gets it from what the hell you ingest. Burns that boy. And then it creates energy and then burn it in calories. And you transfer it to the objects that you come across, or that you walk in, or heat. And
It's weird.
And it seems so hard to imagine that you can the energy just transforms, never dies. So they say because we're just straight energy. He says there's no death. You just move on to the next step in the energy and
Psycho, whatever.
Yeah. And that's hella weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And how the hell, like babies too? Like babies, all of a sudden, where does consciousness come from? And when do you like awaken that? Because he said he was from the womb. Did you see the whole interview or no?
No, I just seen a clip.
He said he was conscious from the womb, like he was in his mom's stomach, and he's out here. He said he would see his hand, and he would talk to his hand and shit. And
but you think that's real?
I don't know. It seems weird.
Like, it seems possible though. You think?
I don't know if I would have.
Because there's so many things we don't know. Like, why is it that you lose your memory as a kid and you don't remember shit? Like, if you ask somebody what's the last thing you remember, it would probably be somewhere around like 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, it's somewhere around there. But somebody to be like, yeah, I remember when I was 13 months. And it would seem like either you have a crazy ass memory that's clearly abnormal or something.
There's a young little girl that I think when she was able to talk, there's a video about it. As soon as she was able to talk, she told her parents that she was from the Philippines and that some guy had killed her, like within the last, like, I don't know, like 10 years or some shit like that. And she took her parents to the place where she got murdered and killed and buried, and they found her bones, and they even were able to arrest the guy that killed her.
What the heck?
And it's like, okay, well,
how does that even possible?
Yeah, and I'm not sure if she was a little girl when, like, how little she was when they went back, or how grown she was. I don't know, but if you think about it, how can you explain that? How do you explain that? Like,
it makes me think of like some type of spiritual realm.
The girl is convinced that this was her past life. And I don't know. I mean, she can probably believe that. Like I'm not saying that she doesn't believe that. Like, she probably does believe that. But it could be something, other shit.
But how can a kid describe you something and it be accurate? How do you question that if a kid is telling you I died and they take it to the place that she claims she died and there's evidence that a person died there? And a lot of times they be naming more than just that. They be naming their names and shit like that.
But
so if they do some shit like that, I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. But if you had it, let's say if you were at a very young age, had a dream that was really vivid, it would be easy to think that you would think that that would be a previous life. I mean, but like, where do you get that? But if, like, let's say me, if my earliest memory was, let's say, playing, fucking, I don't know, playing, what's that game, the
Ping
first
pong or whatever.
Yeah, that first game that came on.
Yeah,
that was my first memory or whatever. When I woke up, and then I was in the era of like Nintendo. It'd be like, well, I never played that game before. But yeah, I remember getting killed when I was playing that game or whatever the fuck. It would have to be something like weird where you couldn't explain it.
Abnormal type shit.
But then I would think like, oh,
paranormal activity type shit.
Yeah, I would think like, okay, maybe this is from a past life. It has to be because I remember it.
But how does that even work?
I don't know.
That means that reincarnation is real, and that
I think it's
your soul doesn't die, but somehow you can get transferred into another body.
Maybe,
and if you can get transferred into another body, how does that work?
And where is
that something you signed up for?
Yeah, and you would get new people all the time. Where are these new guys coming from?
Or well, they would question if they're really new, or is it just recycled souls? But in the logic, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
right when you really like to be like, okay, what if there's different realms and like that we don't have access to? What if there's things we can't see and can't feel and hear? Yet there's other people in this room right now.
Yeah, well, they say,
and we've just learned to. They understand that we don't hear them, and they understand that we don't hear, or vice versa.
But they know, but they are able to hear us,
or maybe they don't know either, or maybe they do know.
Yeah. They more than likely they do know, because if you look at
because who's to say this is the primary realm?
Well, if you look at dimensions, when you look at like a 2-dimensional game, you know how it's like just sideways.
Yeah,
and this world's in 3 dimensions, and they say that they've proven there's up to like 10 or 12 dimensions, or some shit like that. So okay, so how do you access these extra dimensions? How the fuck do you access that? But
how do you prove something like that? If you don't have access, how do you prove something you don't have access to?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know the science behind
it. And that's what I'm saying. Like we hear a lot of shit, but we don't
like, what does the 4th and 5th dimension even look like?
Well, there's people who try to explain it, right? You go to YouTube and the people who try to tell you this is how it works.
And mathematically, they can prove it mathematically.
But math itself is something crazy ridiculous. Like, how is it that math can explain almost everything? There's a science to everything. Even Einstein had formulas that came to be that people use to discover a bunch of shit. It's crazy how you can figure things out with math. How does math know the world like that? How does math and the world, just work like that together? That's what I'm saying. Why is all this can be understandable? Like if it's been done before, like somebody did this. Don't you think those are trails of an intelligent creator? Somebody already did this. You're just looking. It's like almost like a pathway. You don't understand why there's a pathway here. That's because somebody's already walked through it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand shit about shit.
Because it just doesn't make sense. That shit just makes sense.
I know, with math, huh?
And shit that doesn't make sense, scientists are gonna make it make sense. Or at least attempt to make it make sense. And they're like, oh, we made sense of this shit now. How can you make sense of everything? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I don't know shit about shit, but it's interesting to see where the fuck we'd be in another 100 years. In another 100 years, it's gonna be crazy. I think we're pretty close to world destruction.
Because I think we're not far from the rapture.
I seen a video yesterday where it was showing the U.S. Army firing off like rounds, and there was a tally of how much money they were spending per round on. It was a Navy. It was about shooting missiles and shit. they shot like just those like turret guns, those, and it was like 11 grand in like I don't know, like 5 seconds, and then they shot a missile, 950,000,
Like nothing. Huh?
$950,000
How does that shit even work?
for one missile, and then they're like what they're just, and I think they're just, it was just like a test, wasn't even like for real. It was just like they're practicing, throwing out the million, spending like 11 million, and the whole video was like 11 million or some shit like that they just sprayed
like nothing,
like it ain't shit. And I'm like, fuck, you motherfuckers got money.
Yeah, because I think like there's so much shit that, like I said, we don't understand. And like even money, how that works. How the fuck is there so much of it, yet so many people are poor? Yet motherfuckers are shooting 11 million into the dirt. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't make sense how money is working. And it seems like in America, things are only getting worse. The dollar's dropping. Everything's more expensive. It seems like everybody can't buy a home. And it just seems like we're all fucked. So it doesn't make sense. The only thing to make sense now is to team up. But it just seems like
eventually that's not going to be enough either.
Yeah, eventually that's not going to be enough. But the government is so anti-us. And yet it's crazy how the government can be the minority, yet have the majority of decision making and decide how the majority of human beings live their lives and how the right and wrong, how much money they should make, all this shit doesn't make any sense. And yet it's even crazier that us as the majority allow it.
Do you think that it would be one of those things where you'd be like, if we were able to banish government, it would be a lot worse?
Yeah, because we need government, but we can't trust government because any party, any people that get strong as far as like wealth and numbers will always get corrupted. There's no one to trust. They will always do what's best in their interest.
So I don't know what the fix is. We're F regardless.
Yeah, because we need the government, but we can't trust the government. And it's just like a lose-lose. We don't want to demolish the government because then it'd be full rebellion, shooting it out and shit. And then it would just be me stealing your shit and you're stealing my shit.
Yeah. Until someone else came up with a new law. Hey,
somebody said, hey, we gotta stop this shit again. And then
it'll be cool. It'll be cool for a little bit.
And then it will repeat itself.
I think we're at that point where it needs to stop. It needs to go shit. So you can rebuild something cool for a little bit.
But why would you want that? That would eliminate us. That's thinking real heavily into the future.
I don't know. It just seems like it.
What if the reset? Would you be well enough on this? Do you think that if that reset happened, like I said, hey, we can reset this shit, but it has to happen right now. Everybody right now got to die. Like a huge majority of humans, because it's going to be some crazy war or whatever. But at the end of the day, it would be for the greater good.
For the greater good for humanity?
Yeah. And it was like a vote somehow.
You think people would vote?
No, that's what
everybody
I'm saying.
Would say no.
Everybody would say no, but I'm saying you. What would you say?
I would hit that yes button 2 times. Boom, boom.
So then you would want to die for the greater good?
You didn't say me specifically. You just said a good portion of...
yeah, boy, you're taking that good portion.
I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a chance.
But it's not that bad to risk everything.
Huh?
Say it's not that bad to put like a 60, 70% on your life.
Yeah, but then I don't got to go to work tomorrow.
I don't know. Well, that's it. But I don't think that's enough to make a decision, though.
But I push it. I probably had to push it. Nah, but there'd be no more casino. Yeah, I would push it. I don't want to risk it. Fuck it. We'll die together. The whole whole world. Fuck them. Fuck humanity.
Is that a real thing, huh? Like,
let's all go down together. Fuck it.
For the greater good.
Yeah,
that shit not real.
The whole world, fucking burn it to the ground all together. We'll burn it. Eventually, it's gonna burn. We're done. The earth is dead. Eventually, Like there's no saving it. It's gonna die. Whether we're gonna like speed up the process, we for sure just don't know when.
We won't be around.
I don't think the Earth. If I had to put money on it, I don't think the Earth will die from natural causes. It's gonna die from us.
We're gonna kill it.
Yeah, we're gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, humanity, baby. Fuck the Earth.
Thank you for listening to the AB podcast. You can follow us in the links below. All our social medias are linked there. If you want to buy some merch, the merch that we're usually wearing in the podcast, you can buy it as well. The link will be below.